Welcome back, everyone, to another Bad Batch after show. It's another week, and so that means another Bad Batch episode. Now, this week, what an episode, huh? So damn interesting. During the episode, I was so inspired to look out my window or fiddle around with my remote or just be on my phone. That's how interesting this episode was. But yeah, quite the episode. But I think what's more interesting here, and really, if you're tuning in, you're just tuning in to hear people just talk about Star Wars. So that's what we're doing this week. But we're still talking about Bad Batch about this episode, Entombed. So yeah, we'll be talking about all this stuff, what we felt, what we didn't like, what we maybe liked from this episode. But overall, just expect a chill episode this week. We're not doing a rundown. But what's more interesting is that this is a reunion episode. And as you could tell, I'm red over here. This is the theme red, and that's the light side with blue. Edgar Marrero, welcome back to the podcast. I mean, or welcome back to this channel, really, because you helped make this channel what it is or what it was for many years and stuff. So welcome back. Do you feel like you're back at home?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it earlier. It feels like I'm riding a bike right now. I'm relearning everything, and it's just a lot of those old memories just flashing back, and yeah, it's just great, making me feel like I'm young again.
No, because but we'll get into it. But for me, I just want to say for me and you, like, you were just always like an older brother to me. Like, I came on to Instagram in 2013, and I've known this guy for a decade now. But I came onto the Instagram scene, and I was fulfilled at what I was doing, engaging with the community and posting and stuff. But I'm like, I want to do something more. I want to, outreach to everyone else in a different way. And that was starting a podcast. And obviously, I didn't have all the technical equipment just to do an audio one. So I was via Google Hangouts on YouTube. So one of the first people to contact me to say that he wanted to come on and stuff was this guy, Edgar. And I was like, sure. And I still remember his profile picture on Google Hangouts and everything. And oh man, I was like, I almost get emotional about it because I mean, like, I was 15 years old at the time, and like just podcasting with you, and you were really new on the scene too in terms of like podcasting and stuff, and so was I. But we like united forces. Like, you were like a homie to me. You were like dog, like older brother type stuff. So that was so cool that we got to collaborate for so many years and put out content and stuff, and to have people tune into us every single week. We literally podcasted like maybe 100 episodes of just podcasts that have now just been archived on this YouTube channel. I'll probably unarchive some so people could see and go back, but I'm definitely gonna go back and get like a picture of us from back then. But yeah, for real, like, it's just thank you I texted Edgar. I was telling him this beforehand. I like, we're doing these podcasts and stuff, and I'm just like, I want different people on here and stuff. And I was like, I need to get this guy back, my old co-pilot, my old co-host. And we haven't podcasted together since like 2019, like towards the end of it. We were talking about Mandalorian, The Rise of Skywalker, and we just, then the pandemic came, and we just, went our separate paths, if you will. So
yeah,
and
like just the world, like everyone
the world,
just went
the world, yeah, the world
and
really changed. So, oh man, but yeah, for real, what an honor it is to have you. So yeah, first of all, thanks for coming on, and I'm feeling nostalgic here. Like, I'm in a new house and everything. Oh, actually, I brought back this guy. Where is it?
I see,
this guy,
yeah,
because he would always be in my backgrounds when we would podcast. So I'm like, I have to have him there for old time's sake. But yeah, this is the year. Actually, this is not the year, but maybe next year is the year that we meet in person. So we'll make that happen, because I want that to happen. Because
you said it perfectly. It's nostalgic. I mean, when we started doing this, can you think of like a more energetic time to be a Star Wars fan? I mean, you had the sequel trilogy, the start of it. You had Rebels coming, and there's so much merchandise was happening. Video games, Battlefront 1, like the first one from EA. I mean, it's just nostalgic at this point. Like, I think back and I'll tell like my friends, and I'd be like, man, sometimes I want to go back to the first time I saw The Force Awakens, and that feeling of driving home and buying the soundtrack, listening to in the car, new John Williams, and just just like drenching myself in all this. Yeah, it brings me back. And then doing shows with you, and yeah, just brings me back for sure.
Doesn't it? Yeah, I forgot about that Battlefront as well, and what's cool about, and I was telling Edgar this before we recorded. What's cool now is that we covered Rebels. I think seasons 1 and 2 in its entirety. Like you and I sat down and we just recorded and talked about every single episode. So it's cool to sit here now, and now that I'm doing that again, we're talking about every episode, and I'm just like, I would love to do that with you again, just sitting here talking about every single episode and every moment, because yeah, it does take me back. And it's just crazy that it's like we experience, we didn't experience it together, but Clone Wars happened, the finale, we got that right finale at the end, and then we're in a different era of Star Wars, so it's just it feels cathartic, but new and fresh too. So
Yeah.
I mean, just all this whole experience. So welcome aboard. Like I said, I mean, I just want to, before we jump our thoughts about this episode, I just want to say, Edgar, like your life now is very different. You have 2 kids, you're married. That's insane. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I mean, my firstborn was born in 2020. And my wife is a nurse, so a lot of our life was just like upside down, and then buying, not buying, but getting an apartment for the first time, and yeah, a lot of it was just a crazy roller coaster, and so like it's just, yeah, it's just so much of my life had just changed, and then going back to school to become a HVAC technician. I mean, so like I said, like so much had changed in my life. I would never thought I would be here from like when we first started talking. But I am grateful. Like I said, I mean, I have two beautiful children. I'm very happy. It's great. And still, I mean, Star Wars has been there from the beginning. It's never left. Even like the craziness of 2020 and the pandemic, I always had something to look forward to, especially the Clone Wars. I think that's what really gave me, just joy, or like comfort, really, was watching the finale of the Clone Wars, even though it's pretty sad. And I mean, it was a great arc, but there's something about it that every time I'll go back and watch it again, it'll just bring me back, and, just comfort, really.
Oh yeah, I mean, we can. I mean, literally. I mean, I told Edgar, I'm like, we have to really catch up and jump into and dive into all of our Star Wars thoughts and stuff, and just also life too. Because, like I said, I worked closely with Edgar and even his brother. I mean, I just felt like I was always on the phone with them. We would always be planning something, and we created some awesome stuff, and so many people would join and come in and hang with us, which was insane. Me, Austin, Michelle. Michelle is Ahsoka Extano. Austin is Star Wars editor. Like, it was just, what a time. So, and that was when I was a senior in high school, and I was about to transition over to the college life and stuff, which in itself, it was very different, and my life changed as well. But so anyways, with that being said, welcome, Edgar. And okay, so now that we're in this new era of Star Wars, and we're here to talk about the Bad Batch, why don't you tell everyone and me, because I actually don't know, what's your thoughts on the Bad Batch overall?
So I'll say, so it was like season 1 of Bad Batch. I enjoyed it a lot. I thought it had a really fantastic opening, and a really great closing. For me, the issue is, and I think a lot of people have the same issue, is that it just felt like a lot of the episodes felt filler, are just kind of like, do fetch quest. They send Sid sends them to go do something. They come back. That's it. End the episode. And so that was kind of my only gripe with the show, was really kind of just the mundane episodes of just doing something over and over again. Kind of something that they really did with Mandalorian at the time. And like, I want to say like beginning of season 2, kind of middle of season 1. Just fetch quests, and just felt like a video game almost. But then when the drama would pick up towards the end of the season on Camino, I mean, it was amazing. It was I felt everything was worth it. So then we go to season 2. And for me, season 2 has been a lot of ups and downs, more downs than ups. I didn't really like the opening of season 2, the first 2 episodes, because to me they felt like 2 episodes that could have been in season 1, and you wouldn't blink an eye.
Right.
and then see episode 3 with Crosshair and Cody. That to me felt like that should have been the first episode of the season because
Mm.
it it builds it. Okay, so I've been thinking about this. Uh, my issue with season 2 is I don't know what the season's about. I don't know where it's gonna go. I don't know what is the point of the show. With season 1, the opening it was Order 66, and then Bad Batch having to live through that the changes of the whole galaxy from the Republic to the Empire. But it had that theme the whole way through the show. With season 2, I don't know what it is about. And this episode that just came out today, episode 5, really to me cemented that I don't think they have a clear vision for the show as of this beginning season. Because episode 3 was amazing with Cody. It really to me showed the potential of the show. And then episode 4 was awesome. I will agree it was a great episode because it felt like something George would have done. It felt like something Dave would have done. Um, and I just like it was a lot like the new characters were fun. I wasn't gonna like them, but I really did. With Sonic. Um, but but yeah, it was great action, great racing. You can't go wrong. It's like Tatooine all over again on the Phantom Menace. So, but this episode, I mean, we're gonna go into it, but I don't understand it. I mean, I don't get it. But I mean, what about you? I mean, really haven't heard what you think of it. So
Of
if you can give me
this
like
episode or Bad Batch?
a Bad Batch season
Wow,
1.
this feels like we're our podcast days. Host, co-host, going back and forth. I love it. Yeah, I've said to everyone that I like. I'm actually very much in agreement with you. Like, I think the first season, I actually really like the first season. I was given screeners of it for the first 3 episodes back then, and I watched it, and I'm like, besides the Kanan retcon, I was like, but everything else in that first episode, I still believe that at first episode Aftermath is like the best entry in Star Wars, like a series opener, not season opener, but the best series opener for any series, Mandalorian included. I think that's the best series opener. That was just super well done. As you said, beginning Order 66, and the whole way through, it's just a roller coaster ride in all the best ways. But then you get to those low ball moments, and it's like what's so frustrating to me is the characters and how overstacked this cast is. I don't know what it was, but Henry Gilroy and the Rebels team, they were able to um, masterfully juggle, and it was all a balance act, balancing all these characters. And if anything, people were wanting more of Zeb. They were like, I like this character, but I don't know much about him. Like, give us more to him. Season 2, we got you. They gave us a whole backstory to Zeb and Sabine. So I feel with this, I don't know, like it's just too crowded. But I'm like, I don't even care about this clone. Kill them off. Like either about I like Tech now, but before I'm like, please, we do not need him. He's just a droid. Just get the droid that doesn't talk, and it would be so much better. We
Yeah.
don't need this. Like, there's just too many voices in the mix, and I think it's time to to go to the cutting board. So that's a big problem with me in season 1, where it's like the characters are, it's overstacked. I mean, there was just moments where I love what they were doing with like Hunter and Omega or Wrecker and Omega, but the rest were given squat to do. They were just background characters in the episode, and I'm like, guys, come on now. So, like I said, they didn't juggle them at all well. And as you said, like the ending with the Camino stuff was really great. Like that was emotional. Like actually, in that scene where the cruisers are about to fire on Camino on the base, like when it's destroyed and everything, actually in one of those moments when I was watching that scene, I thought about like us covering or at least talking about season 6 on the podcast and stuff, and it just felt saying goodbye to that era too. So
Yeah.
it's just a mix of emotions, and so that I definitely thought about us in there. I'm like, damn, like that's just gone. So definitely threw that in the mix. So I thought season 1 overall, I liked it. Like it was pretty good. Like it's decent. I probably rate it like a 7.5 out of 10 type stuff. Like it's pretty good.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
Season 2, exactly what you said. That second episode, well, the one with Cody should have been the season opener. I mean, the first was just mind boggling. Those 2 episodes, I felt like, and even they call in this episode that there was just a treasure hunt or something, and I'm like, yeah, we did not need that. That was just confusing to me. I think the best part of that episode was at the end with Rampart and Captain Wilco. That was it. That was at the end. I was like, the only redeeming quality about this is this scary end scene. That's it. I didn't vibe with the premiere at all. I think I would have preferred to watch the Resistance premiere with the racers. Like I think they did that. I mean, the I don't know. Like I just like that better than I did with Bad Batch season 2. So, anyways, uh, yeah, Bad Batch to me has been it's been hit or miss, and I think I was scared last week. I was like, "Oh, this episode faster. This is gonna be one of those sit episodes," you know. But it was much more than that, and I love that they like kind of broke that formula. But then this episode, I mean, you might as well just had it be a sit episode. I mean, you could have just had sit at the beginning. It was the same thing, except they came up empty-handed. I don't
Again.
know. Like, I'm all down for. Here's the overall thoughts. Here, let's talk about my overall thoughts for this.
Yeah, yeah.
I think this is the weakest episode for me yet. You're gonna be shocked by my grading for this episode. Like I'm telling you, I even when it was the episode last season with I think it was called Manifested or Infested with when they were in that cave mine or something. With Sid. I don't know, they were trying to bail her out or something. I really
Yeah,
don't know the plot of
yeah,
that.
it was like a train cart,
Yeah,
right?
that episode. Even then, I was like, "Oh, this was pretty enjoyable. I like some moments from it." Is it like just bottom barrel type Star Wars stuff? Sure, but I still liked it. I still thought characters had cool moments, and I love the moment they throw that glow stick down, and you just have like this cool wide cinematic shot of the birds and this light going. That was cool. So, anyways, with this episode. I'm telling you, I was looking outside my window. I actually watch with friends every week. So I was just on the phone looking at them and I was just like making comments or I would, I was just like so bored out of my mind with this episode. I don't know what it was. I just rather look at them and talk to them than watch the episode. It was pretty insane. I was bored. That doesn't happen with me and Bad Batch that all that much, but I was bored. I sat there uninterested. I was bored. So, yeah, I think this is the worst episode for me yet, or weakest episode. I think Star Wars is meant to like display or give us messages. It doesn't have to be like Yoda and Luke on Dagobah, Empire Strikes Back deep, but it just needs to be something worthwhile, a good message, that
Mhm.
we should have. And I don't care what type of message you pull from this episode. Whatever you pluck from it, it's a reach. I don't. I
Yeah.
mean, you could get up that they came up empty handed, but you know what? It was the adventure that took. No, like no. I don't know. Like I'm not trying to be too harsh, but I'm
No,
just.
I mean,
I even try to
yeah.
rewatch this episode to do an outline, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I just can't. I can't do it. So
No, I
yeah,
100% agree with it because like even the episode didn't make you want to be excited about it because Hunter is like your main character, the character you kind of want to focus next to Omega, but even Hunter was just not wanting to do any of it the entire
yeah.
episode. He was
That
just
I
he
felt
was
like Hunter this
uninterested
episode. Yeah.
and he was very frustrated because they almost died a bunch of times. And yeah, I mean, to me that was the biggest thing for me, as this is like a personal thing. Fee threw me out a lot in the episode because my kids they watch a lot of Disney Junior, and she does a lot of voice acting in Disney Junior. She doesn't do any voice acting. It's just like her voice. She doesn't change her voice or anything. Same thing with the show. So it just a lot of the times, every time I heard her voice, I'm just thinking like, man, am I watching like Puppy Dog Rangers or something? I don't know. Every time it
Love
threw me out.
that.
That was probably one of the beginning things that had thrown me out that much. But that character in particular, I mean, I like pirates, and I like Hondo. Hondo's obviously the greatest, and I do like pirate characters. So I like what she goes for. It's just that it just felt so uninteresting, and I feel like she just really didn't bring much besides kind of leading the Bad Batch to nothing.
Yeah.
Which is my overall. I felt like this episode was just entirely nothing from point A to point B changed the characters. And I will accept, because I've heard my friends tell me this with season. I mean the beginning of the season, that, oh, but there's a lot of character moments and there's a lot of growing, and I could see that and I understand that, especially with Tech. You know, like I agree. I'm not a big Tech fan from season 1, but in those first 2 episodes, I felt like he was more human than machine. And so I get it, and I will, you know, I'll take that. But with this episode, I feel like there's really no character moments besides maybe Omega and Fee. Maybe that's the only 2. Everyone else didn't do much. They were getting not shot at, but about to get attacked by this monster, like this little tiny Zillow beast. That's pretty. That's like what I could compare it to.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it just felt like that, and I get it. I mean, I don't know if their direction for these episodes and the season is like kind of taking things from things that we enjoy, like Indiana Jones for this episode, or, you know, racing movies, or, you know, the pod racing scene from episode 1 from, you know, last week. So I don't know. This is just going to be a thing that they're going to want to take from different, you know, different genres or different films, and, you know, try to adapt that into Star Wars. And, you know, that's fine. But at the same time, it's give me something to hold on to. Like what drives me from going to the next episode.
Right.
And it sucks. And I don't want to compare, and I really don't. But Andor was so good. And it felt like every episode was super important, and it led to the next episode and the story and what it was trying to tell. It felt like there was not much filler or whatever. You know, I don't even like using that word, but
right. I don't either.
Just kind of that, you know, idea where it was just nothing really happens, but a lot happened all the time. And then to go from there to here, just, you know, and it sucks. I don't want to compare it, but I feel like, you know, you kind of have to, because there is a level of quality between these 2 shows. And I feel like Bad Batch, it really has a good opportunity to give us such a compelling story. And I feel like it's just not. Which sucks.
I agree. I think, I mean, it is hard to go something from Andor and stuff and then go to, you know, rock bottom. Like it does feel an effect on you and stuff. Is it an unfair comparison? Sure, but it's like, you know, I mean, I don't really know what to give kind of like quite the analogy here for, but I mean, it's just, I don't know. Like it's like maybe going from something really cool at Disney World, you know, going on like this really cool ride like Rise of the Resistance, and then being ushered into, I don't know, maybe like a C, maybe D tier ride, and being like, okay, great, spinning in these cups is cool, but I want to go back, you know, ride a Rise of the Resistance. You know, I mean, it's an unfair comparison to the teacups because you just came back from that, you know, amazing experience, but it's like, it's what I want, you know. So no, I get it. And I mean, look, I think that I love adventure stories, and I love when, I mean, I think Clone Wars did this perfectly, where they dabbled in a whole bunch of different genres and stuff. And I mean, people, you and I covered this episode, I think it was with Noah Outlaw, if I remember correctly. We need a update and stuff on that, because he was an Obi-Wan. Oh no, wait, no, his friends were in Obi-Wan. He was almost an Obi-Wan series. That. So anyways, we covered the episode Out of Darkness, I'm pretty sure, and it was Sabine and Hera, and it was such a like cool bonding moment between mother and daughter. And you know, I can go into all the things that I love about the episode, but people were like hating on it, and I was like, okay, maybe it didn't flow right for you, but there was a whole bunch of substance in here that we can talk about for weeks. Like there was just things that hit the right spots for me. I emotionally connected to. There's always stuff in there, even when it was kind of a low grade episode, where like, we're gonna take things a bit more chill. Ezra and like, even look at this, Rebels. Look, this is what Rebels did. They were able to have Kanan, Ezra, and Zeb be doing off their own thing, doing stuff on the Ghost, but it was, and Chopper, and having a fun, great time with it. It was pretty cool. So, and with Bad Batch, oh man, they don't know how to do that at all. And I mean, they split the gang up multiple times, all the time. It just makes me even care less that last week I didn't even care that Hunter was not there. I was just like, well, I don't really care that Hunter's not here. So yeah, and like I said, I love adventure stories, but this one just felt so forced, dragged out, and it was just overall boring. And I took nothing away from it other than that cool, like you said, mini Zillaby shooting with a laser and stuff. So yeah, that's pretty much it for me for my overall thoughts and stuff. So there you go. Are you all good, Edgar? I think, or is a baby crying? Is that no worries. All right, you can step away. It's all good. So, anyways, um, that is, you see, that's crazy to me that he's a whole father now, and that to me is just insane. So, you know what, you gotta roll with it sometimes. So, all credit to him. He's gotta go do dad duties during a podcast recording. So, I don't know, but like for me, guys, I'm telling you, Bad Batch, I want to love this show every week. I just want to come and sit down and watch Star Wars and have a good time with it. I don't want to sit down and hate watch something because I'd be wasting my time. I'd be wasting energy on my electricity bill. I would be just wasting my time. And so every week I want to come in and watch Star Wars and just have a good time with it. Last week I went in like not expecting the best, but I was like, oh great, here's another Sid episode. But I like had a great time with it. It's so I don't know. Like there's just weeks where this isn't one of those weeks where I'm just, man, it just throws me off of having an episode like this. So I was just explaining to them that it's so crazy now that you got to go do dad duties and stuff like that. So
I know, yeah. This is one of the new things to this right now.
It is, and so that's insane. But I will say one thing that I liked about this episode. Well, a couple things.
Yeah, I'll go to positives. I
have some positives. Yeah, we have some positives. I absolutely love the music in here. The Kiner family always delivers. It doesn't matter what episode, what they're doing. The Kiner family always delivers. I love that. Like, I wouldn't even know how to describe it, but that music at the beginning, it just felt like so kind of Indiana Jones inspired, and I felt like some Jedi Fallen Order vibes in terms of music and also imagery, and that was very fulfilling for me because I'm a big Fallen Order fan. So that to me was really cool, and I think the visuals at the end with that, when I thought that was pretty surprising, when I was like, okay, great, we're gonna steal something from the temple and then be on our way. No, it just like rose up, and I thought that was absolutely insane, and I want to know how it works and what its purpose is. Yeah.
I really like the design of that thing. I mean, to me, it looked like a lot of things you see from video games. It reminded me of what's that game? Like PlayStation, like Horizon Zero Dawn or something.
Yes.
It looks something like exactly from that. And yes, the music. I felt like the music was so good in this episode. It felt more noticeable than the previous episode, I think, to me at least. I feel like I noticed it. Maybe that's because the episode was kind of weak, so the music really just stood out to me.
Had to grab onto something.
I know the music was really good. And that giant weapon, it got me thinking, because I know, Lucasfilm, they do a lot of synergy with their projects. I wonder if that's something that's going to be explained, or something that maybe that we'll see later on. My first thought was like High Republic. I thought, is that something from that era that maybe that's hidden? And was there a world name drop at all? Whatever this planet was.
You know what? I'm gonna be honest. They said Fee. I'm gonna say this. She said so many things that sounded just force coming from her mouth, where she was like, "Oh, like the blade on Exaldra." I'm like, great. That's not even something that's been mentioned before. And then she said so many things, but I was waiting for a planet name and I didn't hear one. But even if she did, it just would have been a throwaway, I think. But yeah.
This might be another dad moment too, but every time they kept talking about the heart of the mountain, it kept throwing me back to, if you ever seen Moana, it reminds me of the heart of Tafiki. Oh. So it was like kind of the same thing. You had to rip the thing off and everything went down the drain. And I felt like the same thing with this episode. Like they had to remove the stone. But cool obviously the big one to me was Indiana Jones. It felt like that. Just kind of the, solving puzzles and stuff. That's pretty cool. And I like the way they use the little screen that they found, or Omega had found.
The compass.
Yeah, the compass, and be able to like use it. That was really neat, and I really did like that. And I thought I I thought Omega was really fun in this. I like how enthusiastic she was, and basically she solved everything. I don't know if like it's funny because Feed never really. She said like she was here to help and all that, but I think Omega solved every single puzzle.
I
In this
did
episode.
honestly. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't even pay attention.
Yeah, because she's the one where Hunter falls down that
Oh right.
little thing. She's the one that solved that. Oh, I gotta put it there, and then she's the one also that solved the the heart or whatever it is.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Even if that, I don't even know if she was even correct about the heart of the mountain. I have no idea if that's even accurate or she just made that up. I have no idea. But I felt like that was just kind of but that's pretty much it. I mean, like I said, there's really not to take away from this, besides just I guess it may be a fun adventure if you like that. But I feel like season one, like you were, I don't know if we talked about this before the show or during it, but the whole trench going down the conveyor belt and all that to me just felt more exciting than this. When they
Which
had to
conveyor?
save Sid, I think, or they're helping Sid.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that felt more. Yeah, for sure. I think for
The
me,
train tunnel. Did I say conveyor belt?
That's okay. Yeah, it might as well have been. But I think that, yeah, I definitely had more fun in that episode. This was just an episode that I came out of not liking at all. Like, there's just,
Yeah.
I mean, I did like so back to that beast thing. I thought they looked like it was made like by the Zepho from Fallen Order. You played Fallen Order, right?
Oh yeah, of course.
So it reminded me of those guards, of those knights that walk around in the temples below that shoot from their chest. And it literally had like the same structure from its mouth, and it shot the same beam. So I was like, oh wait, it reminded me of the Zepho Guardian, or I forgot what the Temple Guardians or something.
Yeah, I didn't even put that together.
So
I think that I noticed I've written down was the machine or the beast, whatever you call it, but it was only attacking mechanical things. It never attacked animals. It never attacked the trees, even though the trees were like everything was collateral, but it was targeting the droid, rest in peace, the droid. And then it was targeting the ship. So it was shooting anything that was metal or like mechanical, which, just something I figured out or picked up, whatever it was used for, some war.
If I made it to rewatching the entire thing, I probably would have picked that up. No, I wouldn't. But that's something I think, as you mentioned, Lucasfilm always has some synergy going on. So I wonder where this would be used for. I think maybe in a Fallen Order game, because it did come from the Zepho, or we're going to explore the Zepho in High Republic. I think Zepho was mentioned once in the High Republic, so we might get to see it there or something. So
Tech did say that it predates the Republic, so we're looking per at least 1,000 years, right, or something like that. So maybe before High Republic, but maybe actually I don't know. I mean, we could talk about High Republic a little bit, but because we have never talked about that before.
No, we haven't.
But if I'm not mistaken, isn't Phase 2 how many years ago is? Because I know that's going back in time.
I think it's 100 before Phase 1.
Okay. So this predate that too. So this would probably be like, I don't know, Old Republic.
Maybe
that war.
War.
But I mean, it was a neat design, and I would have never picked that up. The connection to Fallen Order, that does make sense that they do shoot the beam out of their chest, exactly like that. So maybe there is a bigger story to tell, and that could connect to like a High Republic or something. Not High Republic, but Old Republic.
But yeah, and another fascinating thing to me was I love that it just made the galaxy feel a bit bigger, that no one had stumbled upon this before. I mean, to me, it all felt forced, where Omega found a compass, then they like found it. But isn't that all like kind of like treasure hunt stories? It just all kind of goes like that. I found this map.
Like tropes.
Yeah, it's just all those tropes. So I mean, I was cool with it because I mean, I don't blame them. I don't know how I would have done it, but the way they, they stated that, I mean, the way they visualized that no one had been here for so long. And I'm like, this is how big the galaxy is. No one had been there like ever, it seemed like, since it was built or whatever. And so it was just insane that thing was just there this entire time, and no one in the galaxy had like come across it or awoken the beast or whatever. So I was like, that is cool. And classic Star Wars where you think you're in a cave and it's actually someone's mouth. So
Yeah, yeah, that
it
was
was the
pretty
head
cool.
of the beast. So I'm like, there's things I definitely took away from this episode. But overall, like I said, there's just points where I'm just like, man, like what? Maybe if I watched this during like I didn't stay up for it, it would have been a better episode. But I mean, such a bad episode for me to be like, oh, this is why I stood till 2 a.m. This is why I stood awake. But
Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
think my what time does it come out for you? 3 a.m. But when do you watch it, in the
3.
morning,
No,
afternoon?
I usually watch it at night now.
Oh,
Usually I used to watch it, like in the morning, like first thing in the morning, but that doesn't happen anymore. So
mm,
I watch everything around nighttime when the kids go to bed.
fair enough. Wow, look at you. Yeah, dad duties come first. Um, so another thing that came to my mind was so my friend Chelsea last week, they were talking about um Omega and how there maybe the overall story here is like headstrong Omega is going to be taught a lesson very soon, because once again Omega's like, come on Hunter, let's do it. And I was like, can you guys just sit down this week or do something else, like, or maybe leave Omega behind in some missions? But she's always like, let's do this, come on. So she convinces them once again to do something that they don't want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that overall it's going to be maybe an overall arc for her. I think that's the overall story, where it's just going to be like, but actually someone did call this a standalone episode, when someone that reviewed like that has seen like the entire series. I don't know if you know, but people are giving out screeners for the whole thing.
Yes, yeah.
So except for like the last 2 episodes. But so anyways, I'm very curious to see if maybe Omega, this is feeding into Omega learning a lesson or just maturing, part of her maturing arc, because just a lot of the time she's getting them into trouble and stuff just by saying yes, we'll do it. And it's just like, kid, stop being so trusting with people. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna get backstabbed at one point. And I think that's what they're setting up with Sid. I think Sid's gonna betray them at one point, and it's gonna mature Omega in a different way. And so I don't know how Fee would come into that play, but
My
that's
thing
just a
with
theory.
why I think Fee is becoming is like we're seeing her more in the season is because she is an actress in like live action, and she's older. I would say she's probably in her 40s or so. And they made her really young in the show, like her model, and it looks exactly like her. So I'm assuming the reason why they're bringing her here is so they could bring her to their live action, like Mandalorian, and it would make sense timeline wise because she would be older. Um, and so that's why I think the main reason why she's in this. With Omega, I felt like she learned this lesson already in the first 2 episodes of the season. That's why this felt so weird. In this, like, why is it here in episode 5 instead of,
Right.
why not just put them in the first 3? If this is the character arc for like the learning, but I felt like she did learn, like, not to become so, you know, like just diving on instinct entirely, because that just hurt the group and hurt herself, especially when the crate was, she was so gun sprawn going onto that crate and grabbing Dooku's treasure, and that cost the group a lot. That cost what Tech to get shot and get hurt and stuff. So I mean, I felt like she did learn that already. Um, so maybe I mean, maybe just a continuation of that. But I felt like this episode was just backtracking on what she had learned.
For sure.
Um, I was telling a friend this too. But I felt like after the first 2 episodes that the Bad Batch should have said goodbye to Sid and move on.
Yeah.
Because Buddy was saying what to me was like, well, they still need to repay her the debt or something, or they still need to make money so they can go out there. But I felt like they had already made money in season 1, and I didn't make sense to me, and I maybe have to rewatch it if they really are that there's something going on in there. But I thought they had already made enough money, or they had already survived, and they don't really need to be working for Sid. Which is what it was weird that they're still doing it now, and even like, yeah, just even like they don't even want to, and that's to me, it's when we were talking about earlier, it's like the group doesn't even want to get involved. Like Hunter doesn't want to get involved in whatever all this shenanigans that Sid and Fee and have put themselves upon. But it's just, I feel like it bums me out And it bums me out. I was like, all right, well then just leave.
Right.
Go start the, whatever this arc, this new show, like the season's supposed to be, and not kind of just backtracking on season one.
For
Um,
sure.
so yes, I really don't know like what, like, we're like, I hope Sid does betray him at this point. I mean, it's just so we can just move on.
We can
I
just
don't
move on
understand
from
why we're still here.
Yeah. No,
Um,
if, definitely. I said in the first episode of the Bad Batch after show, I said, which was covering the premiere of season 2, I said, I literally think the series would get such a better ranking or better grade from me, or I would just love it if they literally left Ord Mantell. They would leave Sid behind. They would leave the Hammerhead and pirate guy behind. I mean, I don't mind them, but in this episode, I was like, just go. I don't even want to see anybody right now. I was like, just go. So I think they would just leave that whole story of like, we gotta survive, and it's just like, no, like, survive in different ways, because I feel like we already seen like the day to day, we're low on fuel, we're low on food. We already seen that Rebels, and they did it so well where it wasn't like the focal point of the series, because these all
right.
feel like side mission stories, and overall, in the end, season 1. Okay, so I said this yesterday when I was watching with my friends. I literally unmuted myself because we all show face, but we all mute the mics, and I'm like,
Mhm.
I yelled into the mic. I'm like, this series I'm like, oh no, I said, I hope that if this series gets to season 3, it's only 8 episodes long maximum,
Yes.
because they cut out all the fat and all. I mean, look, I love those episodes in Rebels where they're on the more filler side, when we just like sit down and really just have an one-off adventure with Zeb and somebody or this and that, because at the end of the day, we're spending time with my favorite characters, and we're spending time getting to know them better, and at the end we gain something from them. That's just always happened. Even Iron Squadron, everyone hates the episode, but I still took out of it because I love the way Commander Sato was just given a different viewpoint. You always see him as a military strong man, but it's like, my nephew's in trouble. I need I need help. And I
Mhm.
just love seeing that like familial tie to Commander Sato. So anyways, I just get nothing like this from this show, and I'm telling
I,
you,
I wonder if, because they're trying, right? I feel like they are trying to do
they're
that,
trying
replicate that kind of
for
Rebels
sure.
vibe. But I wonder if it's the era. Because like when you go back to Rebels, it's so golden. Like even season one, even though like it's not the peak, obviously it peaks later on, but like
Season 1
rewatching
is the
season
peak for
one
me.
is, yeah, it is so good, and it's not even like just because it's dramatic and everything. It's just it feels so, I don't know, it
It's a
just
feel
feels like
good
Star
story.
Wars. If it's a feel
Yeah.
good story, it's a family story. Um, and I wonder if it's the era, because you have the original trilogy, you have Dave Filoni had all the toys that he wanted, so he was able to like make like whatever stories he could from his childhood to bring them to life in animation. So, and I feel like that he's not Dave. I know Dave's not really involved in Bad Batch, but
Right.
whatever the Lucasfilm, the team that they're doing now, is they're trying to replicate that. But I think just because of the circumstances that they're in, this show is just dark because it's the dark times. So, and they still know that, because I mean, with the episode with Cody, they understand that this show it's a very dark time. It's very sad, depressing. Everything's changing from freedom to the oppression. So I mean, yeah, I mean that's, and I feel like that's kind of hard. It's harder to be like, okay, let's go have an adventure. Let's keep doing this for the next how many episodes of the season? 16, right? I mean, yeah, and I totally
Yes.
agree with you. This season should be 10, 8, 10 episodes, and it doesn't make sense too that they're stretching the episodes to act like there's going to be commercials to the 24-minute mark. It doesn't make
Right.
sense.
Doesn't make
Um,
sense at all. And one thing I said last week is that I love the Clone Wars. Clone Wars is my favorite show. The animation style is just it's new. It's got to a point where in season 7 we just got like photorealistic images, and it's just insane. Last episode, and I would say, even if I didn't say this last episode, because I like the speeder bikes and everything, but just
mhm.
beforehand where everything was just bland, I was like, I'm so tired of the Clone Wars animation style. That's a hot take, I know, but I'm just so tired. Like after seeing like Puss in Boots and seeing like the they went away from like that type of like
The Shrek
the
style.
Shrek style where it's like that like 3D model type stuff. Like they
Hmm.
went away from that where it's like a blend of 2D, 3D. I'm like that just like Into the Spider-Verse. I'm like I just
Yeah.
want something like that for Star Wars. Like go away from the because just Bad Batch has made the animation look so good and beautiful because it has like go back to season 1 and some of the images, oh my god. But I think it's just made it more boring and bland and for me and I'm just like it's just not working out anymore. I need something different. So
Right.
hot take, but the animation style I'm getting like super done with. Like it's just it
Yeah.
feels tired.
And it's funny because I feel like Tales of the Jedi, um, that animation, even though it's Clone Wars, it felt more refreshing than Bad Batch.
Yeah.
It's something about like it felt a little more smooth in areas.
Yeah.
And just the way it looked, the lighting and the colors they used, it was
Yeah.
different, and I really did like it. And even though those are really short, and maybe the budget is like 10 times smaller than Bad Batch, but um, still, I mean, it's just I agree with you. I feel like the Clone Wars art style is holding the show back, and it's with Rebels, it had a new art style, and it took us. I think it took a lot of the fandom to get used to it. Um, yes, the very that
Yeah,
very like slim design. But it really did separate itself from the Clone Wars, and you
for
knew
sure.
you were going to a new era, and this was a new show with new ideas and stuff. Um, but yeah, I feel like it's being hindered by the Clone Wars because it's so close to it. We're still maybe not even a year into
Yeah.
the timeline. We're probably in the same year. So I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like it is holding it back. And being able to separate itself. And it's unfortunate because I felt like, yeah, it just felt like everything else is kind of striving and everything else is feeling really good in quality, but this show it really can't. And I don't know if it's because you talked about it earlier, like there's so many characters. Um and I felt like because the season one for me a big complaint was Echo. I really wish there was more Echo stuff.
Oh yeah.
Um and this season too, I feel the same way. But then again, last week's episode with the racers and it focused on tech, I thought, oh, maybe the next couple episodes will focus individually on the clone. So we'll have a tech episode. We'll have Echo and Hunter and all those characters. But it just didn't. So I would love to see that. I would love to see more about Echo and what he's going through. But then again, it's everything's the same thing. It's gonna be a depressing story, and it's and not that it's not bad. I think you need a mixture of both. But
For
I
sure.
mean, yeah, I mean, but also the most interesting character to me is Crosshair, and he's not even in the group. So yeah, I mean, and Hunter's okay. I mean, Hunter is
Yeah.
he's like your Cody, he's your Rex. He's kind of
Yeah.
the center point, the center clone that you can kind of identify with. So
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. And I mean, I think that this show would, I'm telling you, if they just like went to the chopping board and was like, okay, let's start plucking and cutting characters out. I think that the show would just, we would have a centralized focal point rather than jumping around to each of the characters and being like, I'm confused and all of you you're great one week and you're bland as bread the next week,
yeah,
like I don't it's just it's very counterintuitive. And as you said, like I feel like there's a lot of backtracking. I mean, in season 1 I feel like we did a whole bunch of lessons with Omega, and then season 2 kind of what we're talking about, like I feel like there's an episode where Hunter was like, okay, kind of laying the leash a little bit loose on Omega, and then we get to the opening scene in season 2 and he's already like bickering about something. I was like, bro, didn't we just so
yeah.
I don't know. I really hope that the show picks up next week, because what's next week's episode called? Let me check. Isn't it like, oh shoot, I feel like I remembered all the names for the episodes, but then now I'm just like, what are we? Where are we at?
Right.
Um, but I feel like Ganji should be coming up soon from Clone Wars, so I would be so excited to see him. And what's funny is Austin, who's been on the Star Bad Batch after show, he was like, I used to complain about the cameos in this series, but I want them back because that's the only thing that was worth watching for.
Oh my
And I
god.
just started laughing because I'm like, yeah, I don't, I mean, look, I thought, yeah, I don't know. Like if they do cameos like the way they did Cody, where it's not a cameo, but he's an integral part of the story, and it makes sense why he was there. Like his connection to the Bad Batch was already established in Clone Wars. I would love stuff like that, like for sure.
Yeah.
Like I would love things like that. Now that Cad Bane has been, or Fennec has been shown like around to the Bad Batch, I would love if she popped up, and it made sense or stuff. But man, I'm so tired of this series and anime. I'm just tired of all of it. So I will next week though. I will freshen up and be ready and excited for a new Bad Batch episode. But damn,
Yeah.
my friend texted him. One of my close friends, his name's Bob. He texted me. He was like, "No Bad Batch post today." I was like, "I don't want to hear it." I was like, "Did not," because I'll post on Instagram being like, "Oh, a new Bad Batch episode." I'm like, "I don't even want to hear it." I was like, "Don't talk to me." So, anyways, I'm when Edgar and I podcast, when we would podcast, we'll never create a podcast just to bicker and complain about Star Wars. I think this is one of the rare instances where you and I were just like, I did not vibe with this episode, because all the Rebels episodes we were like, man, that was so good, bring out next week. And even the comics, you and I sat down and reviewed the
Yeah.
comics for an hour, like on one issue, and we're like, man, what could this mean? Like the future of Star Wars, could Darth Vader have a scene like this in Rogue One? Like we just went at it, and so we really, I feel like you and I really analyze stuff and get down to the nitty gritty of things. So that's why I like podcasting with you. It's just like you're on my palette of, I'm like, yeah, I love like dissecting stuff with Edgar. So actually, while this episode did not provide as much as I wanted it to, I'm glad to have podcasted with you, because
Yeah.
I feel like you and I could stare at a blank canvas and just like, and still pull something away from it. So
Yeah,
that's
they just
exactly
have to
what.
slap a Star Wars sticker on it, and we'll make a whole podcast
Very
about
true.
it.
Very true. So that's
Yeah, I'll say this. I'll say
yeah.
I'm still very excited for Bad Batch. I'm looking forward to those episodes with the Jedi and all that. Even like the bad episodes of Clone Wars or like the bad episodes of Rebels, you'll have them, and they're obviously, it's unfortunate, but you're. I'm always going to watch it. I'm always going to be excited for next week, and next week could be better. Maybe it's copium for me, but I'm still enjoying it, and that's never going to go away. So even like the lowest points of Star Wars is never going to bring me down to pitchforks and yell at you, Lucasfilm. So
right. No, that's good. That's why that's why you and I are friends. Where I'm not like that, you're not like that. We could say we didn't like it and not, like I didn't.
Oh, yeah.
For me, hear this. I didn't like Tales of the Jedi all that much. I like one side of the stories. I like Dooku's and Ahsoka's. Yep. I'm like, okay, I'll watch you once and I don't have to watch you again. So and at the end of the day, I can still walk away being pulled out, being like, oh, I like this and that, and the same like I did with this episode. I liked some things in it, and we look on to better days. So
exactly.
Now to wrap up the discussion, Edgar, what would you rate this episode out of 10?
I rated it a 5 out of 10.
5, okay.
I rated it a 5. What about you?
This is low. And I'm telling you, I've never rated anything Star Wars like this. Not even like I watched Resistance season 1. That's a banger. That's a good story right there. Like even those episodes where it's like you don't know what's going on, it tied in at the finale. Like that's Resistance. I'll give credit where credit's due. Resistance is a very glorious show.
It does slap.
It does slap.
Agree.
It does slap. You know, we should create a podcast. Be like, because we had Punch It podcast. Now we could do it. It does slap.
It does. It does slap.
It does slap. Anyways, this is a 3 out of 10 for me.
That's really low.
It does really. I never rated any. You and I, go back to all our episodes that are not available currently. But go back.
I don't even think we ever rated anything 5 below.
5 below.
Yeah.
I rated the premiere Bad Batch, I think 5.5 out of 10 or something like that. But
of season 2 or 1?
Oh, season 2.
Okay.
Season 1.
I agree. I 100% agree with that too.
So,
I think the beginning was 5 out of 10.
And this one, I tell you, did not like the little points that I did like. I just did not like this episode, and it's gonna be a long time until I go back because I tried to watch it and take notes. I just couldn't. I was like, I'm just gonna talk to Edgar and we can just chill and then talk about stuff, or maybe something will happen and we'll just get derailed, but because we usually would. But anyways, that's the end. That's the Bad Batch discussion this week. You're probably looking at the thumbnail being like, how the hell did these guys talk for 50, almost an hour about
Almost an
this
hour.
episode? But we did. I'm telling you, Edgar and I sat down one time, or a couple times, and we would review the comics, and we just had like if a movie just came out, we would just like splurge on this
I
because
think my
we.
favorite was the what was it? The Darth Vader issue 1.
Oh, yeah, that's the one that I'm thinking of. Yeah, we said we did a whole bunch of them, but I remember you and I sat down for that because it was an event. Like it was Darth Vader after Revenge of the Sith, and we went panel per panel.
We
I'll tell you
did.
that I love podcasting with this guy. So you will see Edgar around soon. I hope to bring him back before the series is over, so he can give his updated thoughts on the show. And maybe next time we'll see you, we'll experience a whole bunch of things or nothing at all, and we'll just have to
That's
wait till
true.
then. So until then, where can people find you and keep up with you?
I mean, honestly, you can find me here. I don't
Okay.
have any socials or anything like that, like of Star Wars related. Just my personals at this point. So yeah, you can find me here. I mean, I'll definitely come back for sure.
Sick. Okay, he's listen, he always will be part of the ASW family. So whether we're doing podcasts or not, he's still contacting my phone. So I will, I will be, and he's always been a friend. So I will definitely be hitting him up for more. And yeah, I want to do, maybe this is an off topic or off camera conversation, but I do want to like collaborate more and do stuff because like I said, like since for 2014 till like 2018 or 19 we would podcast all the time. So we definitely did hiatuses like once, we would, but and I feel like we both had to motivate each other sometimes to do so, to do
Yeah,
podcasts. But when we did it, when we were in stride, we were in stride, and we did it in we covered Carrie Fisher's death. We covered the Force Awakens teaser trailer. I mean, we just covered everything. So,
that's a great example of breaking down. What was it? Maybe 2 hours of conversation of a 2 minute clip. Maybe it's 2 minutes of that Force Awaken thing, the Thanksgiving or Black
oh
Friday.
yeah, that was a 2 hour combo of the
About
first.
2 minutes.
I remember I'd sit here with. Oh wait, you know what? I still have it. It's dead and very much broken. But I have my old iPad that I remember I would sit with, and I would have like this computer. I think I would sit here on my iPad, and we would have viewer questions, and I'd be like, Miguel writes, and we would just like answer, even do like mailbag, and we just spend like a couple hours answering people's questions and stuff. Every time I grab this iPad, I think about those days because I would
Yeah.
also write people's questions on index cards. And I remember one time we were up till, well, it was late for you too because you're an hour ahead of me, but we were like laughing, and we just couldn't stop laughing at someone's question because the way it was worded, and I couldn't stop laughing, and we just laughed for like 5 minutes on live camera. Oh, so it's just, we just had so many great moments. And I mean, we covered the Force Fridays for Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. So yeah, a lot of, and Rogue One. So I mean, there's a lot of good memories to be had here. So the adventure continues. So yeah, thank you again for coming on. So
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
any closing thoughts on just being back as a whole?
I mean, like I said in the very beginning, it's nostalgic. This feels great. It feels like, as I said in the beginning, it feels like I'm riding a bike. I feel like I finished at the end, and the conversation just doesn't stop with us. That conversation, just that chemistry, ping back and forth,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
it
yeah,
was
the
really great.
chemistry.
So yeah, it was great. Had a great time, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Thank you, bro. Yeah, and yeah, for sure. I'd love to have you back on very soon. Okay, and next week, the Bad Batch After Show will not be on this channel, but on the Star Wars Exchange podcast. I will be back with Ari, or Ari will be back with me covering Bad Batch, and hope it's a good episode. I think he wants to cover the Bad. I really don't know his plan or our plan, just because he's been busy covering something big in Australia, so he's out there doing his thing. So next week we'll be over on our YouTube channel, so expect us there. I think right now we have 666 subscribers, so that's very
Nice.
interesting. So go subscribe there and keep up with the Bad Batch discussion there. So Edgar, for me and Edgar, I'm Mike. Make sure to follow me on underscore Star Wars and keep up and subscribe to this YouTube channel. See more of Edgar, see more of me, and we'll be back very soon. So until next time, guys, may the force be with you. Adios.